All right, we're recording. I wanted you guys to see my face. I don't normally do this, but it is week one, and it's a brand new day. Um, Welcome to Psychology of Play. We're going to do a whole bunch of things. Mostly, my hope for today is to give you guys some level of comfort as we get started. I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro. My name is Billy Barnett. I have been here for almost 8 years teaching one form or another of this class. And it's been a long time since I've taught the first week of this class, so I'm kind of looking forward to that, at least online. When I teach on campus, I teach week one, teach all of it. But what we're going to do is close out my camera thing here, since now you know what I look like with earphones on. That's fun. All right. All right, let's get this thing down to actual business. Welcome to Psychology of Play. I told you my name is Billy. That MSLMHC stuff behind my name. I am a licensed mental health counselor. In addition to teaching this psychology class at Full Sail, I also do counseling in the evenings. And I think I'm living the dream. Here's the rest of the dream here. Hey, look, there's me again with some other people. My wife and my kids. It's a little bit of an older photo, but my wife is Lauren. My kids are Elizabeth and William. Elizabeth is 9 now, and William is 6. And in a former version of my life, I was a photographer. I did professional photography for about 15 years. And a whole lot of how I not just funded my counseling education, but also how I worked out who I was by getting over anxiety by being a photographer. And that's where I learned to help people tell their stories. And so a whole lot of what I do is about helping people, but the way that I do that is by serving. The way that I serve is I do photography, and I do teaching, and I do counseling, and I just want to come behind people and cheer them on to go conquer the world. And so in the middle of some of those things, there's fun to be had and work to be done, but mostly I just love being with people and getting to do the things that I used to be afraid of. Yeah, that's kind of who I am. How about you guys? Share something about you in the chat box. Just something wonky. It doesn't need to be reinvented the wheel or anything. What do you like to do? What's fun? What are you working on that gets you out of bed in the morning? What kind of fun stuff do you do? We're going to kind of get into where we're going with stuff. Working on growing a YouTube channel. Cool, Henry. That's awesome. You can solve a Rubik's Cube. Cool. Traveling, drawing, music, and photography. From Chicago, I love video games and a YouTube channel. More YouTube. YouTube's all over the place. Interesting. Working to become a Twitch streamer. Cool. Just opened a Mexican taco stand. Cool. I do karaoke 6 days a week. When the weather is nice, I golf. That's good. Video games. Like to read. Cool. So character design, cooking, reading is fun. Yeah. So that's great. A lot of what you guys are putting in here is fun stuff, and there's a hint here. The things that are significant to us, the things that we're excited about, are usually things that are fun, and that's not an accident. That's kind of why we teach our class. Making movies, cool. So here's what we're going to try to do today. We're going to give you an intro to like, why in the world do we teach this Psychology of Play course, especially so early in every program? And as we, kind of address that, we're also going to talk about how to give you guys just kind of a rundown of the course specifics. I want to make sure that you're able to navigate the platform. I'm also going to go over some of the homework ideas. I want to make sure you're okay with the work, play, fit, push plan, because that's due tonight. And I want to make sure you are familiar with just how to, look at what you're doing. So that when you look at the platform, like let's say you have a question and you want to ask your instructor a question, they're going to want to make sure you know where to drive on the course page. So I'm going to show you that. And then the other thing is we're going to just hit some of the topics from week 1 material. So if we can knock out why are we here for psychology of play, and what are we going to do in psychology of play, and how those things look on the platform, and some examples of what good work looks like, and then hit the course concepts, we'll have a good day. Cool? That's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to talk about play in the scope of why in the world are we taking a class about play? Whenever you grow up, you're going to have your degree here from Full Sail, and you're going to go out into the world, and you're going to go hopefully make money. True story, right? And hopefully when you're out there making money, you're helping people have a good time. And so since Full Sail is an entertainment kind of school, you're going to go out there and try to have your work be about having other people have fun. And so if your job is going to be to help other people have fun, it would logically make sense that there should be some sort of foundation for how that should look in the future for you. And so we're going to teach you the how comes and the what fors about why play is important. And we're going to hit a whole bunch of different layers of how that works. We're going to talk to you about your personal history with play. That's kind of the ground layer. And then next week, we're going to do, among other things, work on the brain layer. In your brain, there's all sorts of stuff that is wiring, and play helps wire the brain. And so part of week 2 is going to focus on that. And then week 3 is going to focus on, among other things, creativity, and how creativity is an important part of our work. And we get that creativity for work from our play as kids. And then in week 4, we're going to kind of tie it all in together with not just why are you here on this planet, but why does play matter based on your guiding philosophy? And so the cool part about week 4 is we kind of tie it in together with like kind of your philosophy on how you're put together. My favorite part of this class is the golden circle, and that is what we hit on in week 4, among other things. So that's kind of a little bit to get us started. How are we doing so far? Are you guys still with me? Good. I see a yes. All right. I was going to hit my microphone to see if it was still working. All right. So another big part is like this class is about you. And so a whole lot of folks ask the question like, why in the world am I taking a psychology class? And that's a valid, legitimate question. And what I want you to know that it's not just a play class. We're not just going to talk about play. When you really pull back some of the layers of the class, what you're going to see is it's really a whole lot of it's a lot about motivation. It's about who are you and how does what you think really matter for your education. And so while it is a play class, it's actually a hiding behind this other thing where it's really about you. And so why do you need a psychology class? I think the answer to that question is because you need to know about you. And I can tell you from having taught the class for a long time, what students generally walk away from is a totally different understanding of what they thought they were going to learn and what they actually learned. And it is not a threatening class. I want to kind of ease your mind a little bit. We're not teaching you material that is designed to threaten you. We want you to identify and develop your thoughts. The We want to make sure that you know you are free to have your own thoughts. We do not want you to tell us what you think we want to hear. We want to encourage you to identify your thoughts and develop your thoughts. And you're going to see that in the instructions. Each time you have an activity, it's what do you think? And just identify and develop what it is you think. We're not going to grade you on whether or not you have an opinion that is, good or bad. We just want you to develop and identify why your opinion is what it is. Okay? And typically what happens is people come from a very serious expectation because at this point we're kind of all adults. And so there's an expectation that your work is going to be serious business, and that's true. We live in the world of adults, but we come from a world of kids, and some of us are migrating from one part of that world to the other part of the world in one form or another. Some of us keep trying to get back. And so because the adult life is so wired for accomplishing things, we do not want to have you think that we're trying to regress here and have you pretend that you can be children. But you're going to have to do a little bit of effort in thinking back to what was it like when you were a kid, because how you are as an adult is very much connected to how you were as a kid. And so we're going to ask you to think about, what was it like? And can you see the value from what you remember from way back when to how the stuff that matters now is totally tied in, maybe through something like a little invisible string way back to your childhood, to about how you figured stuff out. And so there's always a deeper layer, and that deeper layer is connected through your play history. Cool? All right. So that is why we teach a class about play, and it's why this course kind of matters. It matters because you matter, and we want you to be able to connect with that. Okay, Samantha brings up a good point. I don't know if it's okay for me to say this, but I mean, you posted it in the chat box, and so I won't read it, but I'll kind of infer from it. What about some folks who, they didn't necessarily have the greatest childhood? That's a legitimate thing. And so what we're trying to do is say everybody was a child. And it's not that you have to have had a significant childhood. It's that you have, as an investment in your future, you're going to try to communicate to others. And so we have to find way down deep in ourselves, where does our motivation come from historically? As a kid, either things were awesome or they weren't. And if they weren't, I have a choice to make. Either I can create the world that I want to create and imagine it, or I can create the world that I wanted to create and I will go make it. And so, yes, a lot of us had a history that sucked. And we don't want you to pretend that there was sunshine and lollipops if there weren't. Perhaps the things that you were created for are to bring the world a place that you can influence from that bad place as a kid. I guess what I'm saying is make that bad experience matter in the future. There's always something that you can learn, and you don't have to sugarcoat it in order to make it legitimate. And so I don't want you all to think that we're expecting you to have I guess, had a great childhood. We want you to be real with the one that you had and then apply it in a way that matters. Matthew has a great thing here. Don't let your past define who you are today. That's great. And so, I'm a trauma therapist. I've come across a whole lot of stories that were not awesome about being kids, But the interesting thing is, that's where all of the meaning is. And so we're trying to educate you about that. We don't expect that the quality of your life is an indicator of the quality of your abilities. Okay. So here's how this go-to training thing works. I can show you a video. And the way that I show it to you is you click in your navigator for go-to training. You'll have a couple of different panels. One of the things you can do is click on the materials section. And so if you could, go click on the materials section. We're going to watch a video. And so what I want to have you do is go watch that video. And I'm going to watch it too. But I want to make sure that you don't just try to watch the video that I'm watching. You have to go click on the materials section, and we're going to click on the elevator joy bomb words, and that's going to launch the video on your screen. Because if you just watch my screen, you're not going to hear anything, and you're going to be like, "How come I can't hear anything?" It's because you have to go click on the elevator joy bomb video in the materials section. So please go do that now. And when you're done watching the elevator joy bomb video, just click in the chat box that you're finished. If you already saw it, that's cool. Just hang out for a couple of minutes. The rest of us are going to go all watch it. Elevator joy bomb. All right. All right. Looks like some of you guys are finishing up. So I'm glad most of you were able to go see the video. Some of you had a hard time, I think, finding the material section. Generally, I'll put the link in the chat box also so that you can just go click on that. But hopefully you are able to see the materials section. You should be able to see it on your screen. It's part of the interface for GoTo Training. And we do this multiple times per live lecture, and we do it each week. We'll show you a video or 2 or 3 or 10, and they're going to be in the materials section. So make sure you know how to find it. Hopefully some of you guys can hear me. Some of you may not be able to. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Check, check. Yes, good. So sometimes what happens with GoToTraining, your signal can be bad and it'll sound like I'm not talking. You might have to log out and log back in. So there's that. Okay. Play brings joy. There you go. Why do we teach a class on play? Because we want you to have joy. And so really there's kind of a thing here that I have learned. When you are playing, you are doing it because you are wired automatically to go do it for internal reasons, right? I'm getting off script here. I don't actually have a script, but I'm getting off of it anyway. So the other thing you're going to learn later on is that we have internal motivation and external motivation called intrinsic and extrinsic. And so joy is an internal thing, you know. Joy is it's satisfaction inside of you, and play brings that, or you get that when you play. And so it's a thing that is inside of you that makes you go play. You're not playing for the reward, for the external or extrinsic reward. You know, I just stopped playing a video game after like 2 years because it was no longer bringing me joy. It became a routine. I was doing it in order to accomplish things other than satisfying me internally. I got fairly high in this game on like the guild that I was in. My status was elevated, but I felt obligated to do it for the people that were in the group, not because it was fun. It didn't bring me joy anymore. It brought me an extrinsic reward. Why do we lose interest in things that were once fun to us? So it's called coping. The things that were once fun can become less fun, and we have to find our inspiration again. And that's because that's what play is about. It's about being inspired internally. And so when that no longer happens, there's not a problem with you. It's just no longer bringing you joy, and you're maybe doing it for different reasons now. It has become a coping skill, not play. And so, yes, like Erica says, time to grow. Go find something different. And so I'm doing different things now. So think about your life. What did you do as a kid? What was fun for you as a kid? Playing video games. Cool. Yep. Dancing, singing, drawing, dancing, outdoor, rock climbing. Cool. So making forts in the living room. Now I want you to think about you've identified the activities very well. What was it about those activities that you enjoyed? Like playing soccer, that's a competitive thing. Perhaps it was the competition. Drawing, perhaps it's telling stories, or some others. Video games, for me, video games was always about the storytelling kind of video games. I was always into role-playing games. And so it wasn't so much, did I win? It was, what's the story about? I always loved Final Fantasy games, and there was a Phantasy Star game for Sega. And that's what really got me into video games, was the story behind those games. And so it's not a surprise to me that as a therapist, I help people tell their stories. Do you see the connection? It was the story that made me love the video game. And it's the story that I do with people to help them recover in therapy. And so my play history is connected to storytelling. And so when you look backwards, you're going to see photography. Well, that's storytelling visually. You see video games, I was into role-playing games. There is a story that is the main thing in there. So that's how the play history thing matters. So benefits of play in children. I don't have all this stuff in front of me, but basically it just makes kids a whole lot smarter one way or another. It increases creativity. It, helps you think outside of the box. Um, this is where children learn to process what the world is like. I think that's the biggest benefit. It makes children feel not just safe, it makes children feel connected. And the way they do that is through processing the world through play. Derek, I feel like I'm in the right career field because of what you just said. I enjoy the creation of games and the animation, and now game design is my career path. Very cool. So benefits of play in children. This is how children process the world. It introduces them to all of the themes that they're going to encounter in their adult life. Right now, my son is very much learning about how to be appropriate in social situations. Whenever he sees all the other kids running around the room, my son's running around the room. Whenever other kids are having a good time, he's having a good time. He learns how to be socially appropriate or socially inappropriate from playing. He's processing the world. So how do you define play? What do you think play is? In the picture here, it looks pretty dangerous. Anything where you have fun, good. Creativity and action, stress reliever, fun, good. A break from work, interesting, good. Letting go and having fun, nice. Cool, all right. Play is doing an activity that brings you enjoyment. Yep. So those are all good answers. They're all right. Congratulations, you all win. Being social, yep. Ironically, the definition of play for our purposes in the world of academia is made up of all of the qualities of play. So I'm going to run through a series of concepts for you guys, and they're called the qualities of play. And the qualities of play make up the definition. So how you define play is through the qualities of play. Okay? So this is our first set of concepts we're going to run through, and they are the definition of play. The first one is play is apparently purposeless. You do not have to have a reason to play. If you remember, I just said something about, it's an internal motivation thing. You don't do it for a reward. You don't have to have a reason. It's purposeless. You do it because you wanna. And so the first quality of play is that it's apparently purposeless. You just want to do it. The next quality of play is that it's voluntary. So when you see two kids playing, you might notice one of them makes the rules and one of them may not like the rules. And so one of those kids may feel like they are doing what they're supposed to be doing because they have to, not because they want to. And it is no longer fun at that point. Like my kids sometimes get frustrated with how the other kid is playing. And so we want to feel like we get to play, not that we have to. And so when it is no longer something that we get to do, we might get discouraged and be like, this is no longer fun. It's because you play because you want to, not because you have to, or because you have to play the way someone else wants to. This is where kids learn how to negotiate what it is they want so that they can still choose to play because they get to, not because they have to. Does that make sense? Like whenever you don't feel like we're playing your way anymore, you're going to throw away the ball and walk away. Yep. I don't like those rules. I'm leaving. It's because it's no longer voluntary when it feels that way. Inherent attraction, it's like you are just drawn to these things. For me, I played the drums for a long time as a teenager, and I used to say that I was like inherently drawn to the drums. I loved the sound of the drums. I loved tuning them. I loved, studying how they're made. I loved studying what made them make the sounds. I loved everything about the drums. I was inherently drawn to them. So typically, in whatever you are doing for play, you're going to feel drawn to it in some way. This is an interesting one. Freedom from time. You ever play a video game and it's been like hours and hours and hours and it doesn't feel like it's been that long? Or like you totally feel like you should have eaten, but it really wasn't important to eat? It's because you have freedom from time. Erica said the magic word. Freedom from time is connected to our concept for week 2 called flow. And so freedom from time is when you totally lose track of time because what you were doing is so engrossing or enveloping, or it sucks you in so much that time seems to just stand still, or time is no longer important. Time can like go into the background basically. Next is diminished consciousness of self. This is also related to flow. Whenever my kids would play, we have a lot of pretend play. And so my kids take on, the roles of characters. And so they pretend to be those characters. And when they are playing as those characters, my kids go somewhere else and they are those characters. And so Elizabeth dressed up as Wendy one year for Christmas, or for Christmas. No, it wasn't for Christmas. It was for Halloween. So when Elizabeth dressed up as Wendy, I was supposed to be Peter Pan. And so she expected me to act like Peter Pan. And so Elizabeth went into the background of her mind, and Wendy came to the front of her mind. And she expected me to do the same thing. She expected me to stop acting like Dad and start acting like Peter Pan. And so we have a reduced consciousness of ourselves, and we increase the consciousness of something else or someone else. Cool? Next is improvisational potential. When you are playing, you have the ability to go off on a tangent, basically. So for any of you musicians who have been playing with other musicians, think about a guitar solo or a drum solo for me. Everyone knows that whenever the solo is happening, they're totally okay to go do that. And everyone expects that playing that solo is part of what the fun is about. And everybody knows that they're going to come back in at a certain time, and we're all going to get back to doing the same thing again as a group. And so it's allowing for there to be an opportunity for people to go do their own thing with what the play activity is, with the expectation that we're going to come back and do everything again under that same expectation. Next is continuation desire. This is just the idea that when you're having a good time, you don't want it to stop. You want it to keep going. And so it is the continuation desire that makes you want to keep playing that video game when your stomach says, feed me. Play says, nope, we're having too much fun. You can eat later because this is awesome. So continuation desire is the idea that you want to keep doing whatever it is that's fun. And that continuation desire pulls you into the play activity and makes it so you don't want to stop. No way, stomach. Yes, like when the kids don't tell you they have to use the bathroom until you ask them to go clean their room. And then they had to go for the last hour and didn't know. Yep. All right. It is now time for my favorite video of this lecture. So head over to the materials section and let's watch the Kid Snippets cooking show video. I'll put the link in the chat box. When you're finished with this Kid Snippets cooking show video, let me know in the chat box. Oh man, that's my favorite video I think ever. All right. So looks like most of you guys have finished up. Very good, very good. So why should adults make time for play? I want to hear from you guys. Why do you think adults should make time for play? What do you think could have been happening after those men made that video about their kids? Could they ever live their life the same again? Because stress is too real. Yep. Relaxes the brain. There you go. Joy. Keeps us young. Yep. If we didn't make time for play, we're truly living, are we truly living life to our fullest? Honestly, I'd be embarrassed. um, taking a break from reality. Yeah. Brings laughter and joy. Very important balance of life. Yep. So, yeah, those are all good answers. I mean, why should adults take time for play? So, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to cope or you're going to play. um, what we learn to do is we learn to cope and we become satisfied with coping. And the way we satisfy ourselves with coping is by what we get for stuff. But what we do is we always long for something more, but we wall ourselves off from that with the external rewards we get for coping. And so, like for me in my video game that I was talking about, I I was not having satisfaction from the game, and I kept using excuses to keep doing it. I was basically using excuses to be miserable. I was no longer having fun with it, and so the excuses were what I used to keep doing it. So the reason why you should take time for play is because it's a good idea to schedule in a time to be inspired. Because if you don't allow yourself time to be inspired every day, you're going to just fill your day not being inspired. That's why I think we should spend time every day playing. Benefits of play for adults. I think you guys really kind of hit some of these already. Helps you to be creative, helps you to reconnect with what it was that inspired you earlier. Um, the benefit is there's always a good reminder for what it is that is internally satisfying to us. All right. Hello, Anthony. I see you've said hi twice. Okay, so there's one more video here we're going to watch. I'm going to just give you a little bit of a warning about this one. It's a good video. This one's called Never Leave the Playground. It's an interesting video. It's kind of long. It's like 7 minutes long. Uh, and it's going to give you some insight about some of the things for how we're wired for play, or how play is beneficial to us on a brain level. And so that's good. But man, this guy's got some major attention issues. So it's kind of hard for me to watch, but we're going to watch it. Go to the materials section and watch Never Leave the Playground. And when you're done, just let me know. So if you need a couple of minutes to catch your breath, I totally get it. Is that guy busy or what? Um, so it's pretty cool though. That guy has so many things that he is doing every day, and there was really a reason for all of it. Uh, so some of the things that this talked about were how the brain wiring is improved through play. And so we never leave the playground because there are so many benefits to playing that it is going to help you live a longer life, not just in brain wiring, but in quality of life too. All of those things that he did, there was a reason behind why he did all of them. And so this guy is not just, super active and doing lots of physical things. He's also, he was a pottery maker. He's like a world renowned sculptor. And he has a lot of philosophy behind why he does what he does. And so it's all really kind of based in good, theory. And he wants to help people not be so folly downy. Well, it's because there's a real thing there that, even though it's kind of funny to say, like he saw a need that people, as they get older, kind of just give up. They stop doing life. And so he has just decided that there's no reason to stop doing life, and he's going in the opposite direction. And so his life mission is now really about validating play and validating the things that we do for play and how they are beneficial. And so even though he wears me out, there's a completely legitimate set of reasons why what he is doing really matters. And so anyway, some of these things are going to come up again in week 2 whenever we talk about the brain. So here's the thing. I don't know how your work is. It's kind of not fair because at my work, we teach about play. And so there are a lot of things that we do here that are based in the concepts that we teach. I have the opportunity to do fun stuff at work. And my quality of life has increased dramatically over the 8 years that I've been here because we actually do the things at work that we teach about. So it's really cool. So what about you? How is work stuff for you? Are there things that you do to try to have fun at work? Does your work encourage fun? I know that the jobs that I had before this job did not encourage fun. And it was, not surprisingly, not fun in those jobs. So how about you? Write down in the chat box, what kind of things do you try to do to increase fun at work? Derek says the training he does for work is very fun. Cool. It is totally okay if you don't have a job right now. You're in school. You're allowed to not have a job also. Adrian, I think there's a totally legitimate thing what you just said. I was taught work first, play later. That's a very culturally expected response that you just said. Google and Facebook headquarters are designed for fun. Yep, true. Sadly, my work is strictly a corporate restaurant, and we are not supposed to have our identity. Fun is pretty much not allowed. I just try to keep things lighthearted where I am there. Well, I think, Matthew, what you just said really kind of is it. Just try to keep things lighthearted while I'm there. You're bringing the fun, even though they're trying to keep you from having it. Good for you. Catherine works at a coffee shop, and how she does, her own stuff is what is fun. So yeah, I think some of the common thread about what you guys are saying is that you try to bring your own experience. You try to bring you to work, and that's fun. That's good. Um, and so it's totally fine if you don't feel like you have an answer here that is I do fun at work. Sometimes you can't do fun at work because there is such a cultural misunderstanding of what fun is and why it's important. It is it is so common and the normal thing to dismiss it. And so it's not an accident that the quality of life at work is often low. It's because we feel like there should not be an integration of fun and work because it's either, well, some places think you're taking from the company if you're not doing work. There's a whole bunch of reasons of why culture says you can't have fun at work, and it's probably too much to get into in one lecture. But the culture is that we don't play at work, and so that's it's a very different idea that we're teaching you here, and we're really issuing you an invitation to just consider the idea that there is more to it than what culture has offered you so far. And I'm going to give you the evidence. You are enrolled at Full Sail. And our world at Full Sail is about teaching you to go out and make a career out of the field of entertainment. And so you have a major invitation in your education here to go do a revolutionary thing if you think you're not supposed to have fun in life. You can. In fact, you can create whatever you want to create with your life around the concept of fun. And my challenge to you is reach down deep inside of your heart, your values, your joy, your intrinsic motivation, and dig around, shake it up. What is it that's rattling around in there? Because whatever it is that's rattling around in there is probably going to be satisfying for you for the rest of your life. And I bet you somebody thinks there's value in it besides just you. And the question is, how can you make that dream a reality? I'm glad I'm getting a little bit here for you, Derek. Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice play. That's a lot of what we're going to do in this course. Like with our video on pancakes. Okay, so this is kind of like the first half. And I've got a couple more slides here that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get into the homework. Do you have any questions so far about what we've done? You can write them in the chat box. There's a thing you can do, just so you know. You don't have to, but you can actually raise your hand in this GoToTraining environment, and I can turn your microphone on so that only you can speak and we all hear you. And if you would like to do that, you can totally do that. If you don't want to, I totally get it. You can write your question in the chat box. What does PYP stand for in the last slide? That's our terminology for psychology of play. PYP is the 3-letter description for psychology of play. Good question. All right. There's another photo of me. Okay. Serious business. Play is serious business. Not really. All right. Catherine, I'm wondering how this will be beneficial to my film career here at Full Sail. So, Catherine, if you're going to do film, it is an entertainment industry. And so because it's an entertainment industry, you need to have a foundational understanding of why people are gonna be interested in your work. And so the concepts involved in film are not just lighting and exposure. They're not just angles, and it's not a how and what field. I can tell you as a still photographer, a whole lot of what I concerned myself with was how do you make a camera work? How do you do lighting? How do you do angles, composition and stuff? So The foundation for this course is about how do people get inspired? How do people work on a basic level for fun? And so it is the concepts of wonder and interest and curiosity that are made up in play. And so if you want people to be curious about what you're going to shoot next or what you're going to transition from and to, and the themes behind your lighting and the themes behind your composition and what you're saying through a camera lens, it's going to be based on how the world is interpreted in the subconscious. And those are the things that we cover on a motivational level in this course. And so it's about inspiration, and it's about whatever it is for you that the play reading is going to point you to about what matters to you and how you do film. And so for me, part of what this course is about is identifying and developing my thoughts. And let's talk about the business part for a minute. When I'm writing a contract for my work, I need to know how to write a contract. And so one of the reasons why we teach this course is because we're trying to teach you to identify and develop your thoughts. And so that is a fundamental thing for being a film student. And you're going to get into the higher levels of that in the future. We're getting into the ground layer of it here in this course. So there is some serious business. My particular lecture is not about the serious business of it, but there are parts that you will come across in the reading and in other lectures that are about some of those serious business takeaways that you can get. And so it really kind of comes down to this. Do you think play is valuable? You're an adult. Do you think play is valuable? It's okay in week 1 for you to be like, no. That's totally okay. The purpose of the course is for you to go from a possible no to a hopeful yes. And really what you put into the course is how that answer is going to come out. Okay. So what is your play history? So your play history is kind of what you did as a kid. For me, I mentioned that I was really into role-playing video games, right? And so later on in life, I got into playing the drums. And there's a storytelling element to playing the drums. And then I got into photography. There is definitely a storytelling element in photography. And then I got into counseling. And let me tell you, my counseling is all about helping people tell stories. And then I got into teaching. And now my job is to tell stories to you. So everything that I have done from who I am right now all the way back has been about stories. And so for me, that's my play history. So think about your life. What is your play history like? What kind of stuff did you do as a kid? Dominique says play video games and dance a lot. Cool. Play video games, draw, and read. So think about, not just the activities, but what was it about those activities that you did? For me, I was in love with stories. I was not in love with the drums. I was not in love with photography. I am totally caught up in the power of stories. Choir, piano, drawing, and writing. Lived on a farm. Cool. Worked from sun up to sundown. Derek loves creation. Felt connected to an imaginary audience. There you go. Cool. The idea of sending a message to them through my art was exciting to me. That's it, Erica. Awesome. So here's what we're going to uncover here. Remember, I talked about the story part. We're going to do these play personalities, and you're going to see that it's not about the activity. It's about the the meaning behind the activity. So each of us has a type of play personality, or more than one, that we kind of line up with. Okay? So we're going to go through this set of terms, and these are called the play personalities. These are from your second reading. The first one is the joker. So this is the person that tells jokes or likes to make people laugh. This is the class clown who's always making a joke. So think about the things that you did when you were a kid. Were you that kid? Were you the one who was always cracking jokes? This was not me. I was quiet and reserved, and I did not want to even be noticed. Next is the kinesthete. So this is kinesthetic stuff. It's stuff you do with your body, stuff you do for the activity. So this is the type of person who likes to, run around, throw things, tackle people. These are things you start doing to have active play. Running around, being athletic. I did a little bit of this, I played sports as a kid. I played baseball when I was young. I did martial arts. These are kinesthetic types. Cool, Derek. So this is the sportsy type or dance type. Next is the explorer. So this is people who like to go out on adventures. If you enjoy things like camping or hiking, going to new places, eating new food, these are explorer type things. And so, I used to love going on vacation because there was the element of exploration. So when you think about your childhood and the ways that you used to play, do you see exploration as kind of a theme? If you do, that's some play personality stuff that you might match up with. Is there such a thing as being more than one? Absolutely. Next is the competitor. So even though we have the kinesthetic play personality, or the kinesthete, you could very likely be a kinesthete and a competitor. Competitive sports are both. And so if you're into competitive sports, you may see yourself lining up with both of these. But then you could be a competitor in a video game. And so it's totally inside, perhaps, but still competitive. Or if it's outside, running around on a field, then it's kinesthetic. Make sense? Next is the director. In my photography, I found myself in this role quite a bit. My job was to tell people, how to do pretty looking stuff, Put both of your hands in your pocket the exact same way. Don't have 3 fingers sticking out of your pocket. Fingers in, thumbs out. Everybody hold your bouquets in the same way. Don't have your bouquets looking, differently because you want to have them all looking the same. It looks better that way. Coordinating people in a certain way is what a director does. So the director is really the one helping people understand what they should be doing. Next is the collector. My kids are learning to be collectors. They kind of go out and they pick up pretty flowers that are actually weeds, interesting rocks. For me, I have this thing, I love photography and I'm a gear nerd. I collect camera gear. Think about some things that you have acquired. Are you a collector? Are there groups of things in a certain field that you like? Musical instruments, old games. Yep, a lot of people used to collect records. Swords, that's awesome. Next is the artist and creator. So these are your people who are into drawing and painting. It doesn't have to be one particular type of art or creation. Photography is just as much about art and creating um, as other things. But if you are into any kind of art, this is probably your thing. Next is the storyteller. For me, this is kind of difficult because I do the art side with photography, but this is my storytelling. This is probably the biggest one for me. The storyteller writes stories, reads stories. Um, I think one of the interesting things for me as a therapist is I collect people's stories and then I hold on to them. And when they're ready, I give them back to them. But, those stories always impact me. And so even though my job is to help other people with their stories, when I look at my life, I see I'm like a safe deposit box for people's stories. They give me their stories because I'm a safe person to hold on to them. So storytelling, these are, people who like to write stories and tell stories. So how about you? What's your play personality? Erica, very good. I think I'm a mix of a lot of those things. Yep. Artist and the storyteller. Cool. Collector and artist. That picture right there. Joker and artist. Yep. Cool. Artist and storyteller. I think what you should see is that you're probably not just, don't feel like you're profiled into one. I'm not going to do that to you. And that's not the purpose of the course. It's to give you a way to conceptualize that there's a way to think about how your play personality um, looks. And so you might see little bits of several of them in your life. And that's totally the way it is. Cool. All right, here's a short video. Let's go to the materials section and watch Dance Off. And when you're done, let me know. All right, that's a pretty good little transition. So I just want to encourage you as an adult that play is important. I think I've done pretty good heavy lifting here to convince you that it is. The research on play is just that it actually is effective. There's a whole lot of research. Um, some of it is more like philosophical. Uh, I'll tell you, some of it is more characterizations than numbers. We're going to learn about positive psychology, and a lot of the research in there is very much showing the positive benefits of internal motivation and play. But you're going to find that a lot of the research is not so much about the numbers of things as much as it is about these things are good and evidence indicates that it is. And they're going to be about qualities of life, not about quantities of life that are changed. I think this is one of my favorite things. Play connects us to others. You're gonna learn about self-determination theory, and one of our primary needs is to be connected. Play fosters creativity, flexibility, and learning. One of the things that I'm seeing in my own kids is that their ability to handle disappointment very much comes through their play activities. And I have a hard time teaching them those things, but they learn them on their own when they're playing. And so that's cool. And if they're not learning it directly from the play, I'm seeing that there's a need for me to talk with them about it while they're playing. And that's good. Play teaches us perseverance. Think about, sport games. If you think about football, man, that is a great way to learn perseverance. Competitive sports is a great way to learn that if you stick with things, there's a reward. And if play brings us joy, you can pretty much bet it's going to bring us happiness. And so one of the things you're going to see, we're going to talk about the weekly plan here in a minute. And one of the things that's in there is you're going to schedule a little bit of your day, each day, for a little bit of fun. And that's because a little bit of play goes a long way. Here's a catchy little factoid. The opposite of play is not work, it's depression. And so if play brings us joy, the opposite of that is depression. Make sense? So really, why are we taking this course? Because we would rather have you have joy in your life than be depressed. And everybody's play is different. Sometimes my own play is different from the way that I usually play. Sometimes I have to change the way that I play because it's got to be different for me. And so take this month as just a little bit of an investment in your life where you can try something new for 30 days. We're going to give you the structure and the framework for how to do that. If you can just see the value that reconnecting with your play history is a beneficial thing. One of the things that may require is for you to think about play in a little bit of a different way. You might have to change the way you think about it and take a play history. Think about your life, where you've been, what have you noticed about your life from listening to me yammer on in this lecture about thinking back to your history. What are those things that stick out from what we've said? It may be a little bit of a challenge to look back and say, hey, my life taught me something. 1, 2, 3. 2 of those things were horrible. I don't want to look at that. But you know what? It's not that I should be bitter about it. It's that maybe I need to take what that was and work on it. Surround yourself with playful people. It's a good thing to have people around you who like to have fun. If you're going to try to give your play history a shot, look at the people you're with. Are they fun? If they're not fun, it's probably not surprising if you don't see value in play. Maybe you look around you and you see you don't have fun people and you think you should. Yes, you should. And if you can't find friends, go find a dog. Or a cat. They'll play with you and they'll teach you. For me, my kids have taught me. and it's been a cool process. Okay, so we've learned a lot. I wanted to give you guys some insight on the homework that's due tonight. I want to go over the platform a little bit with you. But so far, we have done good material from week 1. We did the qualities of play and the play history. We did a lot of the value of play. We've given a good how come and where are we going about play, why a course on psychology, why a course on play. And so hopefully you see a little bit of the value for why you should invest this month in looking at play. So let's look real quick at what in the world navigating this platform is about. So when I look at the platform, here's what I see. Yours is going to look similar. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it looks kind of like this. So hopefully you've already been through this section. You'll meet your instructor. There's a video here of me. You'll have a different video if I'm not your teacher. We have the roadmap. This is just kind of a where are we going? But if you notice, we give you a good breakdown of all 4 weeks here. Safari Books is where you have some supplemental reading, and I'll show you some stuff there. Here's your best friend. Troubleshooting and resources is something that if you have not yet looked at, you should. Catherine, Derek, no, you will not be penalized if you have to leave. It is totally okay. So if you have questions about, how to make things work, this is where you go. The troubleshooting and resources has the contact for, student liaisons, lynda.com, here, Office 365. You guys have the ability to use Office 365 to turn in your documents. And so you're going to have things that you're going to get from us that you can fill in, little templates. And so you're going to have opportunity to download, the ability to work on Word docs. You need that. You need to get Office 365 if you have no way to turn in a Word doc. FSO support is here. So make sure you have the opportunity to come take a look at this. The Writing Center is here. The Writing Center is a great resource. If you feel like you could use some assistance in how to increase the quality of your writing, the Writing Center is here for you. The library link is here. So full sale policies are here. It's kind of a clearinghouse about logistics for you, okay? The main kicker here is the weekly plan. So what I want to draw your attention to here is there's some teaching things here about what is it? Work, play, fit, push. This is what the weekly plan is based on. But step 1 has our magic information here. You see this orange text? If you're like me, you're going to just go right by it and download this document. But if you click on this text right here, it leads you to a whole new world. And so I want to make sure that you know that there's an article here that it would be good to read, and you can get some good basic information about what this thing is about and the meaning behind the weekly plan. And so it's about organizing your week into just a couple of things. What do you do every week that involves some form of work? What do you do every week that has something to do with fun? What do you do every week that has something about wellness or fitness? And what do you do every week to push yourself? That's what this plan is about. So when you click on this activity and you download the Work, Play, Fit, Push plan, document, it comes up as a blank document, right? This document needs to turn into something that looks sort of like this document. And so what I want you to take away from this today is on the work part, we want you to have 3 activities every day. And it's not necessarily what you do for a job, it's what do you do that requires effort. And so every day, think of 3 things that you do. And it doesn't have to be huge, monumental tasks. It can be something like washing the dishes, taking out the garbage, folding the clothes, whatever. What are 3 things that you do every day that require you to plan a little bit of effort? And those are the 3 things we're looking for. And then for play, we want you to write down 1 item every day. So we're scheduling in a little bit of play because play is valuable. You are going to inspire yourself for the rest of your day if you're doing stuff that is fun. So 1 item per day is what we want in each one of these boxes. 1 item per day for play, 1 item per day for fit or wellness, and 1 item per day for push. And so whenever we say fit and wellness, it does not have to be exercise. It can be, but wellness is not just about exercise. Wellness can be, what is it that you are doing to invest in you being healthy? This can be meditation. It can be whatever. There's not a right answer to what you do for wellness. For me, it's stop playing this game and play a different game. For me, it's also reading. And it's not going to surprise any of your teachers if the stuff in your wellness thing looks kind of like play. Because we're telling you play is healthy anyway, and so you can't really mess this up other than to leave it blank. Make sense? And then the push category is what do you do to challenge yourself? We want you to challenge yourself every day, at least a little bit. For me, a push goal is like, riding roller coasters, public speaking, talking to strangers. These are things that are not in my normal comfort zone. And so what am I doing to push myself? I try to come up with something a little bit every day to push myself. And so that's what this plan is basically about. And then please don't forget to do this little essay part. This is the part that I see students mess up here quite a bit. Answer each question with a minimum of 5 to 6 detailed sentences. And this sample student did a great job. They wrote at least 5 or 6 sentences for each one of these questions. And so this is what we're looking for. We're looking for identifying your ideas and developing them. And so, Anton, I don't have a computer to download the Word document. Is there another format I can use on the assignment? So take your phone, and as long as you can call up this weekly plan, there's got to be a way for you to access the document. And so if you're able to access the document, I know if it's me as an instructor, I'm okay with you writing it out on paper and then snapping a photo of it and uploading that photo. But also make sure that you answer the essay portion in some way and send that also. You can write out your answer, on pencil if you have to. We're trying to make sure that you get the content here. The content is, the necessary part. So is this clear to you guys? I want to make sure you have a good understanding. Whenever it says to, answer this question with a minimum of 5 to 6 sentences, you're going to get hit if you don't do 5 to 6 sentences. We don't want you to get penalized because you wrote 1 sentence, because it says it right here to write 5 or 6. And so along the same lines, I want to also bring up the discussion board. This is due, your initial post is due on Thursday. And what I want to draw your attention to here is there's 5 items. In your initial post, we want you to provide 1 paragraph for each of the questions. A paragraph is at least 5 to 6 detailed sentences. We want you to write it right on the discussion board. So describe an activity you find fun. What do you enjoy most about the activity? How would you talk others into trying this activity? We want you to write 5 to 6 sentences for number 1. And then 5 to 6 sentences for how, like, what did you find in the reading that mattered? Like, this is where you come in here and write about the qualities of play or the play personalities. My play personality is storyteller because I like reading people's stories, or I like telling stories. And write 5 to 6 sentences to develop your ideas. And so 5 to 6 sentences as you provide examples of how these concepts tie into the activities that you described. And then question 4, what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? And so we don't want you to just write a sentence here. We want you to, don't tell us, 30%. I want you to just write a whole paragraph here to let us know. And then upload an image of you engaging in play. Some people get concerned, I can't take a picture of me. Well, take a picture of what it is you're doing then. You can take a picture of your video game if you have to. How do we accomplish number 4 if the week isn't over? You don't have to write this until Thursday evening, if that's what you're comfortable with. You don't have to accomplish 100%. On Tuesday, you may only be at 10%, and you can write that. It's totally legitimate if you write your response post or your initial post on Tuesday night for you to be 15% into your play goals. That's totally okay. That's how you do it. You identify and develop. You don't have to have a perfect accomplishment at this point. You write it down like, hey, you know what? It's Tuesday and I'm writing my initial post earlier than what I should probably. And so I'm only 15% done with my play goals. Here's what I'm going to do the rest of the week. How are we able to use template for 1.1? You don't need to use a template for 1.1 because that's what you are in right now. What's going to happen here is I'm going to come back in and provide a link to all of the instructors to push out to the courses. So you can come back here and watch this whole teaching all over again if you want to watch it twice. This will go away and it'll be replaced with a link of the recording. Alrighty. So your 2 response posts are due by Sunday night at 11:59. The brain teaser is due Sunday. And the bonus material is not graded. This is totally here for you to take advantage of if you would like. Will there be links to the videos as well? Yes, there will be. So for the brain teaser, this is based on the reading 1.3 and 1.4. Please make sure you do the reading before you try to do the brain teaser. We don't trick you in the brain teaser, but it's based on the reading, and you can actually have your reading open at the same time you do the brain teaser. And so it's a good opportunity to do awesome on your brain teaser if you read the material and then open up the reading while you try to do the brain teaser. That's a good thing. Bonus material is not graded. It's in Safari Books. Your Safari Books is your stuff that you log in for the platform. Those same passwords are what you use. We do not do extra credit usually in this class, but we do try to make sure if you have a hardship, if we can extend an assignment for you, we ask you to let us kind of know what it is that's going on in your life so that we can make a determination about whether or not that is a reasonable request for there to be an extension. We'll do that generally for 1 or 2 items. Please don't wait until week 3 and ask to make up the whole first 3 weeks. The answer will be most likely no. Communicate with your instructors. I know all of them. They are all very nice people. They will do whatever they can to help you succeed, but you have to make sure that you're communicating with them, and please be respectful. These people are, they're good folks. If you are inappropriate, they will try to help you become appropriate in a kind but direct way. What's the best way to reach you? If you want to reach me, I am wbarnett@fullsail.com. If you want to reach your instructor, you will see your instructor is on the platform there for you, like here. Here's how to reach me. If you click on me, there's my profile, right? So generally, you can either respond to your instructor or you can message your instructor over here, do the message thing. That'll connect you to your instructor. I am one of many. There is nothing special about me. If you think I'm good, wait till you meet everybody else who teaches. They're awesome too. I'm not that good. But if you need to get in touch with me, I am wbarnett@fullsail.com. Questions? Do you have any questions? Thank you. All right, I see hands. That's good. I am gonna mess up your name. Janice? I'm gonna unmute you and you can tell me the proper way to say your name. Go ahead. There we
Can you
go.
hear me?
I can, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, yes, that's the correct way, and that
Wow.
was great because everybody calls me Genesis or Genesi. So
Yay.
Safari Books was down the other week because I
Yes.
yeah one the so my last professor I was late on some things and I couldn't get into Safari Books, but I did contact technical support.
Uh-huh.
So is it back up that you know of? Because I haven't heard anything else.
I remember seeing that it was down. I don't see anything flagging me that it is down currently. If it is down, let us know. I don't think it is.
Okay.
I see it's someone saying it's back up, so it should be good. Should be good.
Okay,
All right.
that's awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All righty. Anybody else with a question they would like to ask? You can raise your hand again. I had to pull all the hands down. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Leslie. Go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, yes, sir. I just want to ask about the 1.2, which
Okay.
is due today.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So I'm using Mac, and if I download on the link that you show, I can easily type indirectly into the boxes. Is that okay?
Yes, should be fine. You're probably doing it
Okay.
in Pages, and I think that works well.
Yeah,
Um,
because I can easily, when I download, it will give me a frame, a box where it shows that to write 1, 2, 3. I can easily write my activities there, then put it on under the Word document, then paste it over.
yeah, yeah. And the other thing you could do, sounds like it's working fine, but you could also take a screenshot of what you have on the page and just upload that screenshot as a picture too. But it sounds like it works
Oh,
fine for you.
okay.
Yeah, sounds like you're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any more questions? Let's see. Janice, did you have another question? I see your hand is raised
Yes.
again.
I'm sorry, I missed the first
That's
30
okay.
minutes. I turned in the 1.2 assignment about the schedule,
Mhm.
and I got my days of the week mixed up. So I thought I put in a schedule. I mean, in my plan, like to attend, complete what's this 1.2 the lecture
Mhm.
on Monday. I could have sworn Monday was Tuesday. So like, do I get points deducted? Like if I like kind of misconstrue certain
No,
things?
I can't imagine your instructor giving you a penalty for that. That is totally okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make
and
sure I'm like,
you
please.
can just send them a little note saying, "I oopsed, I put down the wrong day," and they'll be like, "Thank you for telling
Yeah,
me."
I work nights and I work nights, so my days get mixed up right now.
Welcome to being human. You're allowed to be human. No worries. I wouldn't worry about that
Right.
at all. You can totally let your instructor know if you feel like you should, and they'll appreciate you telling them. That's what I would
Okay.
do. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? All right. Looks like we got all of our hands taken care of. No more questions. All right. I'm going to stop the recording.